Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're jumping into a really potent message, one that feels incredibly relevant now, even though it comes from the ancient book of Hebrews, the core idea that true faith doesn't, bend with the wind. It doesn't change based on your situation or circumstances. We're going to explore what it means to really hold on to that kind of unwavering faith.
That's right. And the author of Hebrews, well, they're not just giving gentle advice here. It's this really earnest, passionate argument for Jesus Christ. They're urging those early believers, and by extension us, to move beyond just repetitive religious rituals, to shift focus onto a personal relationship, one built completely on trust and faith.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to really unpack that. What does holding firmly to faith actually look like?
Right.
For them, back then, and crucially, for us today. We think there are some genuinely surprising insights tucked away in this ancient text. Okay, so let's get into it. The author is making this powerful case for unwavering faith. But what was the trigger? Why this urgency? It turns out those early believers were facing a bit of a crisis of expectation. Jesus' second coming. Well, it wasn't happening as quickly as they thought it would.
Right. And that delay caused some real confusion. Some started, maybe misunderstanding God's heart, maybe even second-guessing their own faith. They began focusing too much on the visible, the immediate signs, rather than trusting in an unseen, living God.
Which leads directly to this call for endurance, doesn't it?
It really does. Hebrews 10 puts it so powerfully. Verses 36 to 39, for you have need of endurance, so that when you have done the will of God, you may receive what is promised. My righteous one shall live by faith. The key takeaway there is, well, it's surprising. True faith isn't just reacting to what happens day to day. It's this proactive trust in God's faithfulness, his unchanging nature, even when everything around you seems to contradict it. It's believing before you see.
Yeah, that shifts from seeing to believing to see is huge. And it's not just theory, is it? The text immediately points to examples like Abel, Abraham, Moses, David, people held up as heroes because they lived by this kind of faith.
Cherished ancestors.
And then it gets really intense. It talks about the persecution under the Romans, believers facing torture, flogging, imprisonment. Hebrews 11 describes them as people of whom the world was not worthy. These weren't just hardships. The text presents them as a kind of furnace.
That's a powerful image, a furnace.
Right. It suggests these trials weren't just tests to be endured, but something that actively refined their faith, burning away the selfishness, the falsehoods, leaving something stronger.
And that connection between ancient trials and refinement, it really makes you think about today, doesn't it? Okay, so maybe we're not facing literal stoning, most of us anyway. But the source makes a really sharp point. Temptation, especially in our modern world, can actually be stronger, more insidious than direct threats.
How so?
Well, it warns against this climate of constantly praying for more of the very sweet things of this world. And it specifically calls out the danger of money. Hebrews 13.5 says, keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have.
That's a tough one in today's culture.
It is. And the text clarifies it's not really about lacking basic necessities. It's more about that gnawing dissatisfaction that comes from constantly comparing our lives, our stuff, to what others have.
Okay, so if we're supposed to be content but live in a world pushing us towards more, how do we actually do that? What's the practical application?
The text uses this really great analogy. It says believers should live like travelers, or maybe heavenly citizens. The point is, we're not supposed to act like permanent immigrants here.
Like we're just passing through.
Exactly. Think about a seasoned traveler. They pack light, right? They only carry what's essential for the journey. So we're called to sort of shed the unnecessary baggage, simplify our lives, focus on the destination. It's a different mindset entirely.
And that connects to other teachings too, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Jesus himself talked about this, Matthew 6.20, do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, but store them in heaven. And then verses 31 to 33, so do not worry saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear? But strive first for the kingdom of God and his righteousness.
So that perspective, that traveler mindset, is what allows for the endurance we talked about earlier.
Precisely. It helps us endure even when discipline from God or just the hard knocks of life feel painful. Because as Hebrews 12 says, later on, it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness. It encourages us to look at Jesus' own example enduring hostility, enduring the cross. It reframes our own struggles.
So this deep dive really makes it clear, this kind of unwavering faith, this right faith, it's not about finding an escape hatch from difficulty. It's about pressing forward through it with endurance, trusting that God's promises hold true regardless of what we see right now.
Yeah, so here's maybe something for you, the listener, to mull over. Are you living like this world is your final stop, or more like it's an intermediate one, a layover on a longer journey? And how does that view deep down actually shape your day-to-day choices, and maybe more importantly, how you react when those inevitable challenges hit?